there. His dark brown curls sat messy, sweat shone on his forehead, and he'd clearly run the entire way to the Grand Dame cinema, because he was still breathing heavily, and she could see his pulse in his neck. "Look, I know I'm late," he said quickly at her appraisal, needlessly adjusting the collar of his shirt and making a futile attempt at raking his hair back into place. "But there was a track fire, and the N was jammed up for ages. Look, it's on the MTA website and everything." He thrust out his phone toward Clara. She was unmoved. "An hour late," she said. "An hour." After the little episode last week, Clara swore she would fire Boaz if he showed up 5 minutes late. He'd missed his shift entirely, and her sister, Molly, had to cover for him in the box office. It had been nothing short of a disaster. Molly had many virtues, and none of them involved giving out the proper change, or unjamming the paper in the ticket machine, or ensuring that parents with small children didn't confuse the latest animated feature with the slasher film banned in several countries. "The N wasn't running," repeated Boaz, as if she hadn't heard him the first time. "Please, I tried. It's not my fault the subway sucks." As co-manager of the Grand Dame Cinema, Clara did not abide lateness. In this life and her first, she despised it, and frankly didn't think she was asking for all that much. But showing up reliably on time was clearly too much for Boaz, who had worn her patience down to the bone since the day he started 6 months ago, with his perpetual tardiness and parade of excuses. There was the cat, then the old lady, then the funeral, and another funeral, and another. 1 or 2 incidents of lateness she could excuse, but how many funerals could possibly be in that boy's calendar? He was 18, actually 18. She only looked the part of an 18-year-old. Yet somehow, he managed to have more old ladies in his life than Clara ever had. "Then you should have left earlier." "I could have left at dawn and been late," he practically shouted. "The track was literally on fire, I swear." "I told you after the last time," she said, "if you are going to be late, don't bother coming back." "And yet, here I am," he said. "Because you cannot follow basic instructions," she said, her voice icy. He probably thought he could charm and lie his way into a reprieve, the way he had done a dozen other times. She could see all the tells as clear as day. She would have been able to see them even without her powers. His quickening pulse, the way he avoided her gaze, the way he was rubbing the back of his neck in a reflex that seemed specifically designed to remind her how satisfying it would be to sink her teeth into him. "I have had enough of your excuses, and I know you're lying to me." "How?" he blurted. His eyes widened a moment later, realizing too late his mistake. She had caught him. Clara pressed the tips of her fingers together. "I always know." "Oh, really?" he said, at last meeting her eyes with his warm brown ones. And there was that infuriating glint. "Always?" Boaz had been a mistake, the worst idea she'd had since she and Molly took over the theater in 1952. Clara ordinarily had a rule when it came to hiring. Boobies, sweet little grandmothers who thought everything she and her sister did was simply wonderful. She loved the local East Village boobies best of all, with their lavender-dyed hair and heavy-rimmed glasses, and their stories about how the village had been so much better when there was a chance of running into Lou Reed or David Bowie on a morning bagel run. And East Village boobies loved her. They loved her Yiddish and her sensible clothes, and they faithfully bought passes to her film festivals season after season. Best of all, they loved sending her nice Jewish boys. After all, to the ordinary eye, Clara and Molly were the young and talented stewards of one of the great landmarks of the neighborhood, an independent cinema that honored its roots as a Yiddish stage. Who wouldn't want them for granddaughters? Those East Village boobies were single-mindedly determined to see to it that she and Molly would at last find their bescherts, their soulmates, and be happily wed. The patronage of East Village boobies kept the theater lights on. Even better, their well-meaning attempts at matchmaking kept the Sender sisters very well fed. Their last box office attendant, a longtime boobie, had retired to Boca